You guys ready for this?
Oh, boy.
It ain't over. Democrat House Judiciary Chairman calls for DOJ to conduct federal review of Rittenhouse verdict. He wants federal charges, which I do not see happening. This is probably just, showboating or, saber rattling. From Timcast.com, Cassandra Fairbanks, I believe it's Cassandra, right? Yep. Writes, Democrat Rep. Jerry Nadler is calling for the Department of Justice to conduct a federal review of the verdict in the Rittenhouse case, tweeting, This heartbreaking verdict is a miscarriage of justice and such a dangerous precedent which justifies federal review by DOJ. Justice cannot tolerate armed persons crossing state lines looking for trouble while people engage in First Amendment protected protests. Sue this man for defamation, please. No armed person crossed state lines. Dominic Black was indicted, is being charged by the DA for the straw purchase in providing the rifle to Kyle Rittenhouse in Wisconsin. It is plain as day. It is obvious to anybody who's paid attention, and this is gross negligence to say something so stupid when this is the highest profile case we've had in how long? I don't know.
At least since
Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, Chauvin.
Yeah.
1 year.
Before that, I don't know.
I was gonna say
Or not
O.J.
even a
Simpson?
year.
I don't
O.J.,
know.
Rodney King.
I mean, this is a lot bigger than Chauvin, in my opinion. I mean,
for sure, yeah.
The people being glued to this. I've had people who are a little older said it feels like OJ.
Yeah.
Everyone's like glued to the TV waiting.
That
to
O.J.
see.
trial's crazy.
Do you think the reason that it's garnered so much more attention is because the outcome was less sure?
I think it's because when Chauvin was after Chauvin, the video came out, everyone, like 90% of people were on board with like, get that guy off the force.
Yeah.
Like, that was bad.
Yeah, it's upset.
With Rittenhouse, the right immediately saw the video and said, okay, he was acting in self-defense. Then the media lied, and the left immediately said, we believe whatever the TV tells us. And so it became the necromancers of mainstream media casting their spell over the masses to keep them in the dark, while those of us who are out, well, let's use the allegory of the cave instead. All of the people sitting in the cave watching the shadow puppets dance, we were the people who exited the cave and saw reality and were desperately yelling to them, that's not true, come out. And they would be like, no. And so what I think made this so big was how ingrained the lies were. It took Anna Kasparian a year to finally realize the truth.
How did she find out? And did
I
she
don't
ever
know.
explain
She
it?
watched the video, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's really important for people like Anna Kasparian to show publicly that they can change their minds.
Yes.
I think
100%.
that
Yeah.
is such a powerful example
Yeah.
But
for
look
other
at-
people to see.
Look at Cenk Uygur. I really
He's doubling
hate
down.
talking about this guy, but he said nasty things about, we brought him up when we did the show with Rogan, and then it became a stupid thing because the media is so dumb. They're like, here's a story, they're arguing. But he was like, Rittenhouse is bad, blah, blah, blah. And he tweeted about me and Joe, said, Rittenhouse fanboys, and I simply responded, we were just citing Anna Kasparian. That's right.
And I definitely, when she came out and corrected herself and changed her opinion publicly, I definitely refrained from hopping on any kind of hate bandwagon, going towards her, just because I felt like it is so important. And it is actually rare for people on both sides to really just be
hard.
like,
Yep.
you know what? I was wrong.
Got to reward that.
Yeah.
Talking about suing and stuff, Tim, can we talk about what Kyle does next?
What does he do next?
Well, so when I
that
saw that Nick Sandman thing, right, and you see this kid who's been through a lot, but you didn't see his suffering so much, and then he gets this huge payout, and you think this guy doesn't need to work for the rest of his life.
We don't know what his payout is.
Okay, well, it's not
it was
small.
It was a private, it could be.
Really?
Yeah, so with the Covington kids, for those that don't know the context, this is the kid who was standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial when the Native American guy walked up and started banging the drum in his face. The media lied and claimed it was the other way around. Sandman sued a bunch of media outlets. The lawsuits were for huge sums, but they settled for an undisclosed sum out of court. Some have argued it's called he received a nuisance fee, meaning that the media outlet probably just said, look, we'll give you $100,000. How does that sound? Go away.
Really?
It could have been
For all
that
of
small.
that? Okay,
Some people said it could have been as small as $25,000.
Okay, so let's say that it's any amount of money, right? And it could be as big as you want.
I think
Let's
it was
say-
big.
Okay, so let's say that it's 10 million, or let's say it's 50 million. Say whatever you want.
Not that big.
Yeah, okay. But I thought, looking at that situation, I reckon he's ended up netting in a positive there. Yeah, he's had a year of uncomfortable stuff and so on and so forth. The difference is seeing Kyle's response, which I found really uncomfortable, seeing him shaking, he nearly faints, falls down to the floor. You see him put the bottle of water up to his mouth and he can barely drink it. And at that moment, I thought, I wouldn't go through what he's gone through, even if I never had to work. $100 million.
100%.
No way. There is no amount of money
Yeah.
that would make that trauma worthwhile.
The president of the United States called him a white supremacist.
When?
It was before he was president, but still,
he
you
turned
know.
him into an ad,
He made a video that
Yeah.
showed a bunch of crazy stuff like Charlottesville, and then it also shows Kyle Rittenhouse, and he's like, the president won't denounce white supremacy.
Yeah.
I mean, who is it? Cori Bush?
Yes.
She's doubling down.
Oh yeah,
Isn't Ayanna Presley as well?
I didn't see
Keith
that.
Oberman. Keith Oberman.
Oh, that
Of
dude's
course.
nuts.
He came at
Yeah.
us for that
posted,
podcast.
Yeah, he sure did. That was
temporarily posted and then deleted. Did you turn off my mic, Linda?
Turn
No,
it
I
up?
hear you.
No, you're
good.
really loud,
I hear
actually.
you.
Okay,
You're
good.
good.
People are
Anything
saying
too
I'm too
loud.
low.
No.
Just
Are they?
saying.
Well,
Okay,
you're
but
not.
kick it up a
But
notch.
No, no.
No.
Yeah,
limited.
Yeah. I'm gonna
No.
slow and then slowly crescendo. But Keith Oberman also, there's images going around of him apparently tweeting "F this murderer" and then
Wow.
deleting it. So I've seen that from multiple sources being talked about online right now. But this is more than just doubling down. This is just hatred. This is just anger being directed at Kyle again. When clearly, I mean, this man was put on trial, and then,
And I want to clarify.
Yeah,
I got to clarify something too. Like, look, I know, I mentioned just before that Andrew Branca said Juror 54 was probably an entitled Karen or whatever. I want to stop and say my respect, my compliments, my utmost respect to Juror 54. Juror 54 said not guilty.
That's right.
On
She
all
read it.
counts.
Yep.
So if this is the case of someone who is viewed as a mask Karen or a snooty leftist or whatever, it may actually just be someone who said, I'm not familiar with this and I'm going to go through this thoroughly because I refuse to take this lightly. And say whatever you want. Maybe she is Karen, maybe she is whatever. At the end, all that matters is this juror said not guilty on all counts, and we should all
Yes.
be respecting and what's the give me a good word.
Grateful.
Grateful, congratulatory.
Yeah.
We should be
Appreciative.
grateful and
White
appreciative
Yeah, I appreciate
and
that for
respectful
sure. Yeah.
to all the jurors who said this is justice.
Right.
So I think I'd love to hear their story.
Yeah, we don't know what they really have been through yet. We know a little bit with the MSNBC stuff, and
jeez.
but there's probably a lot more.
Yeah, and some of them were saying, the media coverage has been scary. And I have known authoritative ladies who've been like, I need the full details. I just need all the information before I move forward. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you want to be the kind of person who speaks to a manager, fine. If you get to the root of an issue and you come up with the correct perspective, I think that's great.
It's
Do whatever
possible
you wanna
that
do.
there are multiple jurors that were thinking like, okay,
Yeah.
we think he's guilty, and she was like the voice of the jury and was saying, okay, you think that? I'm going to hold this in place until we can find a...
So she was
Wait.
mediating.
Yeah.
Well, here's
Yeah,
the worst.
maybe
Here's
so.
the worst thing. With the analysis from Branca and with what we said already, that mask Karen, snooty, entitled. What if 11 jurors said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be involved. Not just say he's guilty so I don't get in trouble. And
She
juror
said,
54 was the
no.
one going, no,
He's innocent.
no,
I'll prove
absolutely
it.
not.
Yeah.
I would love to see...
What if
they
jury-
don't record that, right? They don't record the,
No.
the jury rooms.
Have you noticed that during the Derek Chauvin trial, there was a lot of pressure from social media onto the jury? You must find this man
Yep.
guilty.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen, or at least I haven't seen, that same pressure with regards to the jury itself.
They
It's
were
been-
outside the courtroom screaming and bullhorning.
Yeah.
They were saying we're going to
yelling.
burn it down.
That was the
They
extent
had to
of it, though.
black out the windows of the bus as the juries were coming through so that they couldn't see what was happening, but they could hear it.
MSNBC was following them down the
But
street.
is that the same
There's
sort
people
of
trying to take
intimidation?
photos of
That,
them.
like,
No, it's
targeted
worse.
intimidation.
Yeah.
Really?
Way worse.
Yeah.
A journalist. So someone was caught filming the jury, and the judge said at bus pickup there was someone filming it. The bailiff instructed them to delete the footage, or the deputy, or whoever, and we'll make sure this doesn't happen again. So everyone knew, stay away from the jury. The jury's bus windows were blacked out because they had to protect them, and then MSNBC sent a reporter to trail the bus to such a degree he was blowing through stoplights, and the police pulled him over. Tweeted they thought he was trying to get photos of the jury. This is a direct threat
That's
to
why
them.
they're banned from the courtroom,
That's
right?
right.
This as there's people
That
on
didn't
social
happen
media.
in Chauvin trial. I mean, in the
Yeah.
Chauvin trial, they were being escorted into the building with armed police and with rifles, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there are tweets all over social media saying the most heinous things that people would like to do to the jury, to the judge, obviously to Kyle, and obviously to anyone who thinks the verdict was correct today. So, yeah, they went through a lot.
There's people making open threats against
Yeah.
the jury, which you would think the DOJ would get involved in and start investigating and start actually, doing their job as a part of the DOJ. So that's why this latest development that the DOJ will be reviewing this potentially on behests of this congressman is a little bit worrying, because legally they have no room here, but that hasn't stopped them before. When you look at the actions of the DOJ, they're becoming more and more aggressively political. They're becoming more and more egregious in their actions. So this to me is something to, of course, look at, because it wouldn't surprise me if they did do something from here, in my own personal opinion.
Can you just think for a moment what would have happened that night if Kyle Rittenhouse hadn't shot? If he hadn't fired a single round that night, what would have occurred?
Rosenbaum would have had an AR. He would have taken it from him.
Yep.
I think he would have. I do believe he would have killed Kyle.
Oh, for sure.
Me
I
too.
definitely do.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, but here's what. So I talked about this the other night. I think on the surface, Rosenbaum was not going to take a gun and randomly shoot people. But what they said was, Kyle said, if he got my gun, he would have shot me and he would have shot others. And Kyle's correct for one reason. You can't approach it from the perspective that Rosenbaum was just a crazy guy who was going to run into a crowd. Rosenbaum would have grabbed the gun from Kyle and probably used it on him. I certainly think so. He threatened to kill him already. Once he did, everyone would have screamed, yo, he shot that guy. He shot that guy. Get him, get him. Rosenbaum would then start shooting
It's
people.
like passing the buck.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a fair assessment, right? They would have seen Rosenbaum the same way they saw Kyle and yelled, get him, cranium that boy. And Rosenbaum would have been like, no. Crazy, violent, and he had a gun. Now, you know what I think the biggest mistake of the defense was? They won, so it's fine. But Richards, the defense lawyer, in the closing argument said that he was glad that Kyle Rittenhouse shot those men. And I was like, oof, no.
Might be a
Yeah,
little too
that's
far.
see,
Bit,
even with us, it's like obviously the title of this video was like, has the word party in it or whatever, but like I don't think anyone truly is like excited that any of this happened.
There's not many winners here.
Well, at least
listen,
no one in this room.
Yeah, there are certainly people
This
who
army.
are happy. I think the whole thing was a net negative across the board.
Yeah, of
The
course.
reason we're happy is that Kyle Rittenhouse's life will not be destroyed by this because of the tragic nights of that tragic events of that night, and from all the pain and suffering and the torment he's gone through, he may actually get some positive results here.
Mandatory life sentence.
I know.
That's what he was up against. And also, we also have to at some point talk about like he will live with this forever. I mean, I've never taken a life, obviously. I don't think anyone in this RV has, but that has got to just be such a uniquely traumatizing thing that's going to affect him for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just the beginning. So what happened today was right. I also think that I don't think it's an entirely net negative, because I think it did set a precedent that Americans are allowed to defend themselves against violent militias.
No, I do think it's a net negative. Yeah, I've heard I was talking about this a little bit earlier, and I said it was always supposed to be our right to defend ourselves.
Of course.
The Second Amendment was always supposed to be, and I think the fact that it was put on trial was dragging all of us down. That being said, we're happy because our rights were upheld. Kyle Rittenhouse, his rights were upheld. Again, it's a tragic situation, but it's this simple. When Richard said he was glad, he said he was glad that Rittenhouse, Kyle shot those men, because if he didn't, Kyle would have died. I wouldn't say that. I think that's terrible. Glad someone was shot. It's simple to say that it's unfortunate he had to do this, but you need to understand, as much as this whole night was a tragedy, Kyle Rittenhouse is not responsible for it. He was attacked by 3 assailants. 1, overtly and violently, and 2, seemingly mindlessly and violently. And in each instance, he had a right to defend himself, and the jury agreed.
Where it may be a net negative, which means the totality comes out below 0. But I agree with you, Blaire, that I think something positive within that net negative is that if people are considering going out and burning buildings down, and there are militia there to defend it that are armed, don't attack them. Those people are there for a reason, with weapons for a reason. It's not a show. It's not a video game.
And perhaps people, for better or for worse, may think twice about going out and burning down their local mom and pop shop. Now,
I do think this is a good precedent in that regard. And another thing that I think we haven't really fully sussed out is that I would say this is very much a red pill for people who have kind of engaged with it. For like the lady who was saying, I'm pretty well read, I'm pretty liberal, I'm fully educated or whatever. I did not know this. Now I know this. Her comments were full of people saying, I didn't know that either. I think that's great. It's a white pill for us. It's a red pill for them, because it's like, look what the news is saying. It's like Trump's speech. Like, you can watch a speech and then you can watch what they're saying about it. You can watch the video and then you can watch what the media is saying about Kyle Rittenhouse, and you're like, these two things are not the same. This doesn't add up.
Yeah, if nothing else, it needs to teach people that corporate media is the enemy.
Exactly.
They have always, currently are, and will always lie to you, and they want blood.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.